Good morning. It's Monday morning. And my weekend was so full that I didn't even get a chance to get to Duran Farms. Well, I'll take that back. I did get there, remember, but she had a power outage, so I didn't have cash. So anyways, yeah, so I am on my way there now. I messaged her and told her on Saturday, I said, I don't think I'm going to get there today. I will be there Monday morning. Please do not sell my milk, because usually if you don't pick it up by Saturday, she will sell it to people who are just coming in that don't normally order it. But she said, that's great. I'll see you Monday morning. So I'm off there now, and I'll catch you guys after a while. Hi again, everyone. I got my stuff from Duran Farms, and I decided, since I have eggs, that I was going to make a lemon bread. And I have my traditional lemon bread that I've made for like 25-30 years that takes traditional flour, but I thought I would try a bread with almond and coconut flours because there's so much less carbs, and also because I got a ton of it. So I found online, a recipe that's supposed to be Starbucks lemon loaf. Okay, sounded good to me. So that's what I'm going to try. And really looks like it's pretty easy to do. The only thing I do not have that I'm going to be just using regular confectionery sugar is the Whey sugar that I buy. Also comes in brown sugar and powdered sugar. And I have the brown sugar, I have the regular sugar, but I do not have the confectionery sugar. So, hey, I'm just going to use regular confectionery sugar in this. But, yeah. All it takes is 2 cups of almond flour and a 1/4 cup of coconut flour, baking soda, baking powder, salt, eggs, the confectionery sugar, some vanilla, some lemon extract, and some lemon juice. And that's the other thing I'm going to substitute. I'm going to substitute lemon extract with lemon oil, which is pure natural oil from the lemons that is for candy making. And so it would probably only be 1/8 of a teaspoon for this lemon oil, because that's a lot stronger. But anyways, let's get going, shall we? Okay, so the recipe says to combine your almond flour, your coconut flour, your baking soda, baking powder, and salt in a bowl. So that's what we're going to do here. I am just going to add 2 cups of the almond flour, and I was told from another website that you should slightly press down your nut flours so there isn't a lot of air. That's my oven, which was set to 325 degrees. Unlike your traditional flour, you would not do that too. You would just level it off. But so we are going to take that person's advice on that one. And then a 1/4 cup of coconut flour, which I will do the same. I will just slightly press that down. So I'll set that aside, and I will grab my baking powder, my baking soda, and my salt. So it says here that we are to add a teaspoon of each. So we'll go ahead and we'll add a teaspoon of the soda and a teaspoon of the powder and a teaspoon of the salt, and again, mine is not white because mine is what's called the real salt. It's natural, it has all the minerals still in it. And we are supposed to just give that a little mix up to blend that together just a little bit. And then we are to set that aside. Whoa, that came down, didn't it? Now we're in a separate bowl. We are to add the eggs and the coconut oil and combine until light and fluffy, I guess is what it says. So we will go ahead and do that. Okay, and this is my coconut oil, and what I do is I stick it in I'll put my coconut oil in here because, as most of you know, if you're familiar with coconut oil, it's white and hard. And I'll put it in a measure cup, just estimating how much I think I'm going to need, and then I'll put it in the microwave on defrost for like 3 to 4 minutes, depending on how much. This is supposed to be 1 1/4 cups. So that's that. And it says to combine that into light and fluffy. So I'm just going to actually use my little hand beater here. That we are to add the sweetener, the vanilla, the lemon, extract, and juice in a medium bowl. This is my lemon oil, and this is, whoops, 1/8 of a teaspoon that I'm going to try. And our vanilla is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then our lemon juice, which is supposed to be 2/3 of a cup. It says pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and blend until smooth. Not really sure why we had to use a 1/3 bowl. Don't understand that one at all. Because no, I have not made this before. So it just says to pour the wet ingredients in there. Probably should make sure to scrape all that out. It just says blend until smooth. Now I have already buttered my loaf pan, and as I said, the oven is hot at 325. It's supposed to take 55 minutes until a toothpick inserted into the center of the cake comes out clean. And I think that's pretty well blended. I think I'm going to need to use my fingers. It wants to stick to the spatula. Yeah. this is a little bit easier. And these type of nut flour breads, they don't tend to raise like your traditional quick breads would. Even though there's baking soda and baking powder in it, they usually do not raise very much at all. They pretty much stay just like you're going to put them in the oven. So that's why I kind of want to make sure that it's even. So I'll go ahead and I'll put that in the oven. All right, in here I had my 2 tablespoons of almond milk, half a cup of melted yet cooled coconut oil. I used an 1/8 of a teaspoon of my lemon oil. I believe it was, oh my goodness, I think it was a half a cup of confectionery sugar. Yes. And just mixed it all up. And it says that you have to add this on top of the loaf. Once the loaf is completely cooled, you spread this on top of the loaf and then you put it in the refrigerator to harden that back up. So I'll show you the finished product here in a little bit. And that's what the finished product looks like. I think the bread looks pretty good. And as you can tell, didn't raise anymore. And I also didn't tell you that you needed to cover it with foil so it wouldn't burn. And it did take longer than 55 minutes. It probably took about an hour and 15 minutes, which I did read from other people's comments that that's how long it actually did take. So I'll let you know how it tastes. Good evening, everyone. I hope you had just a fabulous Monday. And tonight, I would like us to turn to John, the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verse 33, and I am going to be reading from the New Living Translation. I have told you all this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. If we were to back up, all the way up to John, the 16th chapter, to verse 16 of that chapter, Jesus was telling his disciples that in a little while, they won't see him anymore. But then in a little while after that, they will see him again. But that's when the disciples started to ponder what he meant. They didn't understand. And Jesus, realizing that they wanted to ask him about it, he started to explain himself. And you'll find that in verses 20 to 32. Then Jesus gave his disciples the reassurance that they would have peace in him, that even though they would experience sorrows and trials, they were to take heart because he, Jesus, had overcome the world. Peace. We all desire to have peace. Peace of mind, inner peace, tranquility, restfulness. And most of us, we enjoy invoking a sense of peace within our own homes through paintings on the walls and photographs that we have sitting around that we display, all the way to the gardens that we tend to outside in our yards, even the music that we listen to. We even equate early morning and evening with peace and quiet. But our wonderful God has provided real peace for all of his children. What a splendid thought to know that, as Jesus stated in our verse, we will have trials, we will have sorrows, or tribulations, as it's said in many other versions. But we have been given the provision of God's perfect peace in every circumstance through all of life. As we think about experiencing God's peace, I want to point out that the security of the disciples rested on their ability that they thought they would have to understand what Jesus was saying to them. They thought they would feel at peace if they understood what Jesus was trying to tell them. They said to Jesus, "Oh, now you're speaking plainly to us. Now we know and understand that you are indeed from God." They felt a sense of security because they thought they understood. And that's the point I want to make. They thought they understood. But isn't this just like us? We think that if God would explain what we're going through and why we're going through it, then we could understand and feel secure. Our peace tends to want to rest upon a certain knowledge of what's happening. But our Lord is very careful to point out that this kind of peace is very insecure indeed. Because you have to realize that within an hour, they would be running like a bunch of frightened sheep. They claimed they knew who he was. They said they understood that Jesus came from God and that he knew all things. Yet, within an hour's time, they were so confused, so uncertain of what was happening that they ran away and left Jesus alone. Rather than trusting Christ to work things out, they forsook him. They did not want to be identified with Christ. And yet, Jesus was not alone. His security wasn't going to be threatened in that hour, for the Father was with him. And that brings us back to our verse, as he speaks these words to each and every one of us. And I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit. I say to you, in order that you might know the kind of peace I have, it is not based on what happens or even your understanding of what happens, but upon a trust in the one who controls what happens. That in Christ you may have peace. In the world, you're going to have nothing but trouble. Trouble at work, trouble at school, trouble at home, trouble in your family. You'll have trouble, 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 because that's the way of the world. But be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Can there be anything better than that? And with that, I want to remind you, life happens. Let's enjoy it. And remember, our sense of security rests not in the circumstances, not in our understanding of our circumstances, but in the confidence of the one who is guiding the circumstances and knows what he is doing. That is where peace comes from. Good night, and God bless.